Well, it's my privilege at this time to introduce our keynote speaker, our police chief in the city of Euless, Officer Mike Brown. And I've had the privilege of knowing Mike for a number of years. As a matter of fact, we kind of started together way back when at Trinity High School. I was an English teacher there, and Mike was our student resource officer. And so we've kind of grown up together. And I can tell you there is not anyone out there in the community who is more of an advocate for HEB ISD than Officer Mike Brown. He began his career in 1974 as a police cadet. He was hired by the Euless Police Department in October of 1975. And then over the next 27 years, Mike served in every division within the department: patrol, criminal investigation, crime prevention, detention, traffic safety, support services. And then after retirement, Mike returned in 2007 to accept his current position as Chief of Police for the city of Euless. Please join me in welcoming to the stage our keynote speaker, Euless Police Chief Mike Brown.
Now, let me start by saying thank you. What a true honor it is to be asked to speak today. One thing that they didn't tell me is how many people would be here, so I'll get through it. I am a proud product of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District. I attended South Euless Elementary. I was at Oakwood Terrace Elementary the first day it opened. I think there's only two people in the building that can say that. That's me and my good friend, Miss Pat May. We were both there. I went on and attended Euless Junior High School and graduated from Trinity High School. It's been said that it takes a village to raise a child. It took 3 cities, a school district, and my mom in constant communication with God to raise me. But once I graduated, there were still a lot of rough edges that had to be smoothed down and worked out. And for that, I thank my mentor, my good friend, Mr. Andy Cargile, because I promise you, I would not be the police chief of Euless today if it was not for him. Thank you, Andy. I was so excited when I got the invitation to speak here today because you need to know just how very special you are, how important you are to the success of this community, and what a tremendous impact you have on our quality of life. I believe the people who work for the school district and the people who work for the police department are more alike than they are different, because at our core, we both possess a servant's heart. A heart that drives us to do great things in the lives of others. It's the spirit of the servant that makes the police officer reach into his own pocket and pay for a struggling family's meal or some gas to get them down the street. It's the teacher who I saw in Walmart the other day who bought 75 spiral notebooks. When he was asked about the purchase, he just said, "Yeah, I know, but some of my students won't be able to buy these." It's the parking lot attendant at Trinity who bought a student a coat because that's all she wanted for Christmas. And he knew her family situation was such that she wouldn't receive one any other way. It's the heart of the servant that keeps the buses operating in a safe and well-maintained fashion, knowing that the lives of this community's most precious resources are riding on them. It's the servant's heart that works to keep the campus grounds well-maintained so our children can safely exercise and play. It's the servant in you all that will not allow you to give up on a child. When you think you've done all you can for them, you regroup and you try again. I personally thank you for that. I would not be here if it were not for people like you. Thank you, Andy. But what you don't know about how special you are is the effect your efforts are reflected into the community. Off campus and away from school, your efforts are paying huge dividends throughout this community. What I know to be true is that our crime rate in this community is low, and is low because we do not have our children battling each other in the streets. They're not shooting, stabbing, killing, or have declared war on each other. You know, the Euless Police Department provides one police officer at Trinity High School. Hurst Police Department provides one police officer at Bell High School. That would not be possible in most communities. In most other communities, it would take 3 to 5 police officers to handle a campus the size of Bell or Trinity. And the people in this room are in large part why it only takes one. You teach the children of this community how to respect their classmates, their teachers, their books, their belongings, the building, but more importantly, you teach them how to respect themselves. The children of this community come to school each day the focus of what's going on campus. Whether you're the bus driver, the teacher, the administrator, the facility staff, or grounds maintenance, your focus, your reason for being there is for the children of this community. I saw a statement the other day that says adults spell love L-O-V-E. Children spell love T-I-M-E. Thank you for the time you are investing in the children you come in contact with each day. And the amazing part here is that you do not have to be a teacher to have an impact on the life of a child. You just have to be willing to give them some of your time. I graduated from Trinity High School, but some of my greatest life's lessons I carry with me today were taught to me by teachers, coaches, bus drivers, and the people who worked in the cafeteria who took their T-I-M-E to talk to me. What makes this community work so well together is the fact that our children are the focus of our community institutions, and the servants of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District are the tip of that spear. The Euless Police Department tries to tag along the success you have with the children of this community. Wherever you are, we want to be somewhere close by. We need our children to know where to turn for help, where to go when they're lost, scared, or in danger. You see, I understand that if our schools fail, that failure will spill out into the streets and the neighborhoods of Euless. So the Euless Police Department is invested in the success of our schools. We also know that if the police department fails, that will spill over into the schools and the streets and the churches. And I thank you for being invested in the success of the Euless Police Department. You see, the Euless Police Department is looking to the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District for our next generation of officers. We have 2 programs where we hire students and former students to work in the police department with the eventual goal of becoming a police officer. We offer jobs, tuition reimbursement for their college classes, and we mentor them in hopes of keeping them focused and on track for their future. We found that it's a great partnership between the Euless Police Department and the law enforcement classes that are taught by Mr. G and retired Euless Police Senior Corporal Tony Burnett. Now, thank you. Now, Mr. Chapman, if I run over my 10 minutes, I'll take the D hall. But I would be totally remiss of me if I did not thank you from the bottom of my heart for the respect and honor that you paid Officer David Hoffer, his family, and the entire Euless Police Department in March of 2016. This community and all of its institutions opened their heart and their resources to the Euless Police Department and showed the world how special this community is and how we work together, stand together, and became one together. We were hurting, and you gave us your best. And I want to talk to those 2% that didn't say that this was a great place to work. These are the people I want to talk to. Chances are they're not here, but I want you to know how special the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District is and what an amazing organization you work with. All it took for the school district to open their hearts and their resources was a simple phone call. And that phone call didn't come from me, it came from my assistant chief. Behind my back, I had no idea it was happening. But he called Steve Chapman and he said, hey, we'd like to use Pennington Field. Now, that sets a lot of things in motion. But that was met with an outpouring of support and resources that was humbling. The answer on the other end of the phone was whatever you need, and then supplied more than we could ever imagine. You see, my life work is the Euless Police Department, but I have a tremendous sense of pride in you and the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District. You know, I'll close here with a story, and it's a story about a man who had a huge impact on my life. When I was at Trinity, I played football, and I had a football coach, and his name was Alan Harville. Some of you may remember him, some of you may know him, but he was a true character. And for some reason, he took an interest in me. Don't have a clue why, but he did, and he changed my life. You know, he used to take his time to talk to me outside of class and outside of practice. Sometimes when he talked to me in practice, it was rather abrupt and direct, which I needed. And sometimes when it was out of class, he talked to me rather abrupt and direct, which I also needed. But he told me the story one time about when he was a child and he lived on the farm. And of course, if you live on the farm, you have chores, and it was Saturday, and he was rushing through his chores because he had a date that night. So he hurries up, and he goes in, and he's getting ready for his date. And he's waiting on his dad to come in from the barn before he leaves. And he says, Dad, I'm about to go on my date. And he says, well, son, before you go bring up the cow. He said, well, the cow had wandered off. They didn't know where it was at, and it was about to calve, so it needed to be in the barn. So he said he looked at his watch. He had 15 minutes. So he's already dressed up, smelling good, looking good as he could look. And he goes out and he says, I don't get too far from the house. And I look around, and about 15 minutes, I come back in and I say, hey, Dad, it's time for me to go on my date. And his dad said, well, is the cow in the barn? He said, no, Dad, but, I'm about to be late. He said what his dad did then was got up out of his chair, went and put his boots on, grabbed his hat, and went out the door. He said it was about that time it dawned on him that it might be best that he not go on that date. So he waited, and he said about 9 o'clock that evening, his dad came back in, took his hat off, hung it up, took his boots off, and sat in his chair. And he said, Dad, did you find the cow? His dad looked at him and said, I'm back, ain't I? Now, from that simple story, I learned 3 big lessons. 1, if you set out to do something, finish it. Don't stop till you're done. When you fail, and you will in life, don't offer an excuse. And probably the biggest lesson, you'll be called on in life to do things you do not want to do. Do them well. See, I have a theory about life, and I know there's a lot of great preachers who know a lot more than I know, but I believe that you're sent here on a mission, and your mission is to serve someone else. And then when you return, you're held accountable for your mission. Well, my coach and my friend passed away several years ago, and of course I was sad when I heard of his passing. But immediately what went through my mind was that he walked up to St. Peter, to the gates that lead to heaven, and St. Peter said, what's your name? And he proudly said, my name's Alan Harville. He said, at that point, I thought St. Peter would look his name up in the book, and it would say, Alan Harville, teacher. And he would look at Alan Harville and he would say, Alan Harville, you were sent to serve as a teacher. Did you teach anyone anything? And I hope in that instant he thought of me, a tall, skinny kid with more heart than talent, squared his shoulders and looked him in the eye and said, "I'm back, ain't I?" You see, that little story made a lasting impression on me and has influenced me to this day. And it was a conversation that to him was a throwaway conversation. It didn't mean anything to him, but it meant something to me. And all it was him taking his time to talk to me. So if you can use your words and your time to have a lasting positive impact on another person, I implore you to take that time and use your words to help this village raise its children. This community proves that we can be diverse and get along. We can look different, but look past our differences. We can disagree from time to time, but not be disagreeable. We can speak different languages, but still find a way to communicate. We can come together and build a community that values its institutions where we truly are better together. Thank you.